Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Saphira Talk. So, today we're actually going to be talking about the history of the Roblox egg hunts. At the time of me recording this, the egg hunt for the classic event is just about over. And so, by the time you guys are seeing this, it will be completely over. But I really just wanted to go into the history and the depth of the origins of the event, as well as the uniqueness of each event that they had. Originally, the events were called egg drops or extravaganzas, and starting from 2008 until 2013, it was only on the even years until 2013 when they started doing it annually because of the gain in popularity. And the popularity, I think, really grew because of a lot of the free to play player base. Not everybody had access to a lot of these cool items and stuff back then. And so when the egg hunt and stuff would release, a lot of the free players, especially new players as well, all they really wanted to get was creation items and things like that for their avatars. And with every egg that you could get a new item for your avatar, or after a certain amount of badges, you could unlock something for your avatar. And so, on average, the egg hunts had about 34 eggs, with the lowest being in 2008, with only 11 eggs. And however, by 2019, 2020, they were averaging closer to 40 to 50 eggs, with 2020 having 53 eggs total, and 2019, I wasn't entirely sure on the exact number, but it was close. I want to say 58 eggs. But starting in 2008, there wasn't really anything too special about this event. However, there were three fake eggs. And these were basically created just to throw off people that were trying to look up information on the event, trying to spoil it, and with the number of eggs and stuff like that. And so two of the eggs did get released later on. However, the Wikipedian egg of alien mind control never got released. The following event after that, Rotris, did see one of the release of the eggs. That was the Blue Seal egg of Genius. And then in 2021, with the Metaverse Champions event, the egg of non-existence was released as well. And then going on to 2010, this event was really unique in the way it was released. Um, I guess it wasn't completed or something, and so when they released it in April, it was only out for between 2 and 4 days, and then they took they took it away, and then as an apology, they gave away an item in the marketplace for free, and then back in July they re-released the event with a few more eggs, and then in addition to their whole release thing, they also had a crossroads improvement project, and they actually had four eggs that you could get for that if you won that the project awards. There was the Dusky egg of the Crossroads, the Arborist Verdant egg of Leafiness, the Royal Gate egg of Beautiful Dreams, and the Violently Pink egg of Violent Opinions. And honestly, I love the name on the fourth egg, the whole violent, that just, I don't know, I just like it. And then going on to 2012, this egg was unique. This egg event was unique in the introduction of sugar eggs. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of those, so I think that's just really cool that they had those. They also had a stooge egg, which kind of tied into another event that they had going on. And then they also, towards the end of the event, if you collected all the other eggs, you could unlock the last egg of 2012. And then at the time, this event actually set the record for the number of people playing one game. And that was honestly at 10,000 people, which doesn't seem like that a whole lot now, but back then, that was huge. And then for this event, they actually did have one unused egg that was called the stacking doll egg. It was basically just like a little nesting doll type of themed one. And then going on to 2013, so this one was my favorite egg hunt. It was designed by Stickmaster Luke. It was a really big record breaker in the fact that, first of all, it was the first odd year egg hunt. It was also doubled the amount of players in one game from the previous year at almost 20,000 players. And then it also was the first game to reach 2 million visits in 1 week. And then this was also the first egg hunt to have like a singular place and stuff like that that it was set in. And it introduced three different types of eggs. So the first one was the gear type egg, so, which was a type of egg you could like use in games or add to your own games and stuff as like an inventory item. And then there was hatched eggs. Those ones you could gather the egg and then it would later on hatch or change into a different item. And then you also had website eggs. So if you were scrolling through the website and you saw just like a little egg symbol, you could click it and gather the egg. And then this one has been rebooted several times. Clone Trooper 0450 did uncopy lock the game, and so a lot of people went and copied the game and either to make it their own or just to re-release it. Some of the most popular ones were remade by Kieran as well as Reset 2019 43.7. However, both those experiences have been made private, either due to the game breaking or, just, I don't know. Like, they were just made private for whatever reason. And then, but since a lot of the broken ones have kind of been shut down or stopped gaining followers. In 2022, Zero Eater Zero actually did remake another one, and so I do believe this one is still up and active and still playable. All right, and then going on to 2014, this one was unique in the sense that it was built mostly out of terrain. At the time, terrain was getting a big overhaul and stuff. It was getting less like individual blocks and it was basically the beginning of like the train and stuff like that like we see today in like current Roblox. But it was also the first egg hunt to like actually tell a story. So the story was about this rabbit named Lucky Lapin who was like this collector of rare and fabulous eggs. He was then kidnapped by Rabbit Rabbit, which was basically an evil twin version of himself from like another universe. And then after getting kidnapped, Rabbit Rabbit stole all of his eggs and then tried to run home to his own universe with them. However, his teleporter kind of errored, malfunctioned, and broke down and scattered his eggs all throughout the universe. And so the goal of this hunt was basically to find all the eggs, defeat Rabbit Rabbit, and then save the Eggverse. This egg hunt consisted of 5 places, all taking place on the same map. However, each map was kind of edited and twisted into a different time zone. So you had the prehistoric, the medieval, you had modern times, and then you had a uncertain future and a future that was taken over by Rabbit Rabbit. And then you had one April Fool's egg that year. You had 2 website eggs, and it also had an unused egg called the friend egg. And then 2015, this one was the first egg hunt hosted by user created games. So this one was hosted across 3 different games. You had Super Ball Survival by Polyhex. There was Ripple Minigames by Ripple. And then you had Twisted Murderer by Taymaster. And then there were 6 eggs that you could get them on each of the 3 games. But then each game had 5 exclusive eggs that you could get. And then on top of that, you also had your first Fabergé egg and your first admin egg, which the admin egg you could only get like by running into an admin or like a creator or something that had like this egg cannon or like this other item that would basically give out the egg to players. And then 2016, They're, they were interesting in the fact that this was the first egg hunt, and I believe the really the only egg hunt so far that's been hosted on a leap year. And then this map, it was also a singular map, but it was like a consolidated one. Um, the game was developed by Hawaiian Snowman, and there were 26 eggs total, but you could only technically were supposed to get 24 of them. But by like a consolidated map, basically, it was just a bunch of like little maps that were all like put together and stuff. So I don't know if it had like multiple builders and things like that, and they were all just given a section. But this one was interesting in the fact that they actually had a beta for the game. So instead of like just having one singular release, it was released on beta for 450 Robux. So if you wanted access to the event early on, you could get that. And then you also had nesting eggs. So they came in three different colors, but you were only supposed to collect one per player. And there were a lot of players that decided to like cheat the system in order to get it by deleting their badge to obtain the other colors. And then 2017, so this one was interesting because it was the first one to have a egg hunt be sponsored. I believe it was sponsored by McDonald's Happy Meal, and it was actually created by the Elite Builders of Robloxia group. And so the story for this one was Dr. Deville the egg had taken over the whole egg first, and you had to go save the Faberge egg and to beat like this villain. And so this one did have a an admin egg, and then that one wasn't like super like it didn't have like a whole lot of uniqueness, that one either. But going on to 2013, this one had was was decently big. This one was created by the 15 team, and it also had a story theme like the previous ones. But this one, you kind of start off in a library where your friend lives, and basically this evil egg kind of goes and he makes like this curse and stuff for this raven and kind of ruins the library that you guys are all in. And so this portal appears that you kind of have to go through, and you just basically you go through the portal and you travel across different storybooks and things like that in order to complete quests, collect eggs, and then eventually break the curse in order to restore your friend's library. And then this one was really popular in the sense that it marked the return of Rabbit Rabbit. So this one actually tied into a previous egg hunt, which was really cool. And then it also had the return of sugar eggs. So you had two sugar eggs in this one. You had an adamant egg, and then this one also had 6 unused eggs. You had the dragon scale egg, the gross egg, the exteroid egg, recycled bloom, the Wonderland Miner, and the hard-boiled egg. And then you also had one egg that was only available by redeeming a code through in like the Roblox Toy Series 5 figures. Alright, and then going on to 2019, this one was really big as well. This one was created by the group Actually, and it was sponsored by Avengers Endgame. So you actually had 42 games. So like this thing was a mess. Like you had a lot of places to go to. And then you had your admin egg. You had it also introduced video star stuff. So like you had your video star games where the video star creators and things like that could give out an egg for themselves from their own games. And then you also had 6 sponsor accessories that you could get that were all like in the shop for a limited time. I believe they were all free. You had the Black Widow batons, Captain America's shield, you had Captain Marvel's mohawk, Iron Man's repulsors, and then you had Thor's Stormbreaker. And then you also had an Infinity gauntlet that I believe you actually had to do a quest in one of the games in order to get. You had to like go and collect the infinity stones or something like that. And then this one was actually one of my favorites as well, just because it had so many pop culture references and inspirations from it. For example, um, the egg collection animation was actually a reference to Super Mario Galaxy's You Got a Star animation. You had Blondie Bloxco, the egg. It's a whole reference to Donnie Darko, which is my absolute favorite, like dark sci-fi film. It's the film's directed by Richard Kelly, and the egg itself doesn't look like Donnie Darko, but it rather looks like the bunny that he sees in like these really sick hallucinative like visions and stuff. And the bunny's name is actually Frank. So the so like the fact that they named it Donnie Darko is actually really interesting. Well, Bonnie Bloxco rather than like in reference to Frank. Then they also had like a Fast and Furious egg. They had like a Matrix egg. One of my other favorites is the Daedalic, which is a reference to the ancient Greek mythological architect Daedalus. He's like supposedly like the creator of like the labyrinth or whatever that in a lot of stories houses the Minotaur. And then the issue with this one, with there being so many games, is a lot of games received a lot of harsh criticism just for like lazy design efforts. Like there were some games that was reusing old maps for old events, or like they just weren't updating their thing. And then going on to 2020, so this was the last like egg hunt, like the actual like last one. And the issue with this one is it was really similar to the last. And so this one received a lot of harsh criticism as well. It did not have an official lobby. Instead of having a actual lobby, the event opted out for a fan made hub. And so the fan just had to go in and add all these portals and things like that, like, hey, here's where this egg is, and you can go here to grab it. But there was no official way to get to these things. And so you have really had to hunt for it, which kind of makes sense to me just because I believe this one had more of like a spy kind of theme, like a secret agent. So like you had to go like hunting for the egg hunt. And so this one, with again with harsh criticisms, it was a lot of lazy implements, lag. Um, there's an accessibility issue as well as other ones where it was just too many. Like it was too hard to get these eggs for on some of these games, and there was just a lot of confusion this time because there was no hub, and people actually had to go look. Like people just did not understand this one very well. All right, and then going on to 2021's the Metaverse Champions event. So this one, instead of being called an egg hunt, was actually labeled as the Spring Hunt, and it lasted about 4 weeks. Each week you had about 48 different games, and basically you were separated. The games were separated into teams. So each game, you would be collecting badges and things like that that would go towards a specific character that you basically wanted to come out on top as your champion for the event. And then whoever won the event would have an extra avatar item created for them. And then because it was split up, the games were split up, so there was about 10 to 12 each week for each avatar. You had four characters. You had AJ Striker, Sparks Kilowatt, Faye Yoshida, and Ren Brightblade. And this was when the Egg of Non-Existence was released, and so they actually had an Egg Hall of Fame, or like the Hall of Eggs or whatever, basically where it showed every egg that's ever been released, whether that's through the shops or the actual hunts and stuff as well. And so they had that, and then the winning champion for this one was actually Sparks Kilowatt, and I believe her extra item or whatever that they released was a pair of wings for her. But basically what you wanted to do each week is you wanted to collect all the badges and things like that for the character that you wanted to win, or even just all four of them, you could go and collect, and you would unlock this crate. And so at the end of each week, I believe the crate would turn into an avatar item, and if you had actually collected each crate for each character by the end of the event, you actually got the full character as an avatar package. And then in addition to that, you also had like an admin, developer, a video star, and an MVP kind of like giveaway. So like they would go and they had like crate launchers and things like that, and each of those crates that you could get would have a different like Valkyrie shard, and by collecting all of those shards, you would actually get a golden white metaverse of Valkyrie at the end of bench as well. There was a lot of criticism over AJ Striker, however, because one of the games, Emergency Response Liberty County, so this one was a paid access game. And so they did not want to go and set their game to free for the week or whatever that they were part of the event. And so originally their access price was 95 Robux. And after, receiving a lot of criticism, they actually lowered the access price to 50 Robux. But even after all of that, they were getting a lot of criticism. I think Roblox tried to talk to them and they refused to go free for the week. And so they were actually removed from the game hub. They were still part of the event at the time, but they were removed from the list. And then all of the badges and stuff that like you got from that are still counted towards like the actual count and stuff on the hub until about May 14th, which wasn't that long before the actual event ended. One of the games, Tower Defense, still had a Halloween map and just wasn't updating a whole lot. And then another criticism that this event had was there was a lot of grinding quests. But yeah, so the Metaverse Champions was kind of the last event for several years up until this year where they had the hunt. In the hub, basically the first day or so, they actually had this egg or whatever that came rocket launching down into the world, and by collecting like all the badges or whatever, you could actually unlock the egg. Um, but after a while, because of how many, like how difficult and stuff like to get some of these eggs were and not everything being accessible, they actually did lower the number down from 100 to 95 badges that you had to get. And they also had a lot of free items and things like that that you could get. I personally didn't really take part in the actual hunt portion of this event just because I didn't really have time to. I did take part in pretty much the entire classic event. I I already like completed and stuff my portion. So this one was interesting. So because they did a lot of hype for this one. So on the 18th, you actually had the treasure finder and the timers of Valkyrie like bundles and stuff that were released that you could buy for Robux. And then shortly after that, the hunt map actually updated, and you could actually find a Bloxy Cola hiding in the map as like a reference, like, hey, this is coming soon. And then they actually updated the map again and added a portal to the hunt that led to the classic. However, the classic wasn't out yet, and it wouldn't be out for another 2 days. So trying to go through the portal would just give you an error code. And then the following day, the today's picks got changed into like classic games. Like you had Crossroads and things like that, and Underground Wars that popped up. And then for this event, there's 15 total games, and that's not counting the hub. Um, each game you could collect up to 10 ticks and 5 Robux tokens. And as you would collect those tokens, you could unlock different items and things. And then back in the actual game itself, for every uh, token that you earned, like after a certain amount you collected, you could go back and unlock different items. You also you had your bling track, which if you had bought the treasure finder, the timeless Valkyrie, or even like the bling track like game pass or whatever, you could basically get those same items but in as like a golden version. I am actually like wearing the hat and stuff like that on my avatar right now, but that pretty much covers it for information on the egg hunts. But I do think like they could do a lot more with this going forward, especially if they do like a lot more like callbacks to like previous egg hunts and things like that, or even just bring back the eggs itself. I do understand that, making those eggs and things like that always can be a lot of work, and they don't really always have time for it. Um, that's been obviously with like some of the icons with like the extra releases or like just like not being fully updated by the time they come out and like slowly updating as the event goes on. But there's a lot they could do with this, and I really hope you guys enjoyed hearing about the history of these events. If you have a topic or something that you want me to discuss later on, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below and hit that follow and subscribe button. But other than that, have a good day.